Hi, everyone. I'm here with Pam, and she is an apprentice for the fall 2026 cohort. She was sponsored to take the fall 2026 cohort and our 7-month accelerator program. Pam, I'd just like to get started with hearing a little introduction about yourself and what your background is before you joined the cohort.
Sure. I have a background in graphic design and I've worked with print, digital branding, social media design, email campaigns, uh, you know, thing, things like that, traditional graphic design. And I've been doing that for quite some time. And, because design is really changing in the age of AI and, especially like now with all this automation, I feel like that the graphic design landscape is not the same as it was when I started. And I was always interested in UX design because it just seemed like I was getting like I knew my graphic design too well. I can do print. I can do it in my sleep almost. And the
Yeah,
UX thing was a challenge, and I was looking for my next challenge in my career.
yeah, yeah. And how did you discover UX Woman?
Oh, I discovered it through my twin sister because my twin sister Andrea she had taken UX Woman as the self-serve program. And my sister has a background in fashion design, which
Yeah,
is totally different than UX. And I was really impressed with her, like her portfolio when she, finished the program. I was impressed with what she learned and what she put together. And I was like asking her, what did you learn this? Like, how did you? Because I know it's a big process. I know UX is not easy.
yeah.
And she told me, she said, I don't even know how she found you, but she found you somehow. And she told me about UX Woman. And I'm like, I think I want to do this. And my sister told me about the apprenticeship program. Like you can apply and then you'll be sponsored for one of the cohorts. And I said, well, why not just try it and see what happens?
Yeah.
And I did, and I was chosen, and I went through the whole program with I don't know how many other women, maybe 10 or 12 or something like that. And
Yeah.
I was just blown away by what I learned and what I achieved and what I produced in that, I don't know, what was it, 4 months?
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, your project is incredible and it touches on a really important subject that is really overlooked because a lot of what we do is find niche markets or communities that are underserved and try to solve problems in that space because the mainstream market is ignoring them. So could you talk a little bit about, how you chose your project topic and went about the research for it?
Sure. One of the things I really liked about UX Woman is that about it, like the topic, choosing a topic that was meaningful, but also that was not mainstream. Because I know like other boot camps, they'll say like, well, they give you an assignment of what you need to design for, and you just have to do your own version of it. But I really enjoyed like trying to figure out like, well, what do I want to do? Like, what do I want to say with this, and what's important to me? And the one thing that came to my mind was the recovery community because I'm a part of that. And recovery addiction is just a big part of my story. And I've seen a lot of people struggle with finances and recovery, including myself. Like the addiction is one thing, but they don't, like staying sober is really important. But all the other things that you get that are affected by your active addiction
Yeah.
are not addressed in the AA program or whatever other program is your drug of choice.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be something very interesting to tackle.
Yeah.
And that's why I chose my topic. And I had a lot of people in my resources that I could speak to. And I was really excited about it. And I found people that I knew or I thought I knew, you know,
Yeah.
and I found out so much more information about them that, their history, their story what they struggled with and
Yeah.
how they overcame some things. It was just very eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
And then I also met some new people that I really didn't know, and they opened up like I never expected.
Yeah.
So that the interview process for me was scary because I had never done interviews
Yeah.
and I wasn't sure like what to expect. And you know, it went better than I thought, but like the first few were kind of rocky.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's great that you chose a community that you were a part of and that you could co-create with. So it was good that you had that standing within the community. And that is inclusive design at its core, is to be a part of the community and co-create with the community. But I also think using trauma-informed research methods, which we touch on in the curriculum, and approaching things with sensitivity and building on the intensity of questions, I think also help to let people open up to you in a more organic manner where you're not asking your toughest questions up front, but you're easing into it and giving them the consent, asking for consent whether you want to go deeper into a topic or not, and giving them that option to go as deep or not as deep as they would like. So that's really great that you found out more than you had intended to. And I think from every time we do the research, it's always great to see how people actually do want to share more and they are really excited to share their about their problems. So I'm curious to hear, how did you start to make sense of all that was shared? And I know it can be an overwhelming process to hear all these different stories and hear all the different problems, but what helped you prioritize the right problem to solve?
Oh, that's a good question. I did want to touch upon though the trauma informed interview process because it came into play when I was speaking with people because one person in particular like he happened to bring up a friend that had died of the addiction and he started crying and I'm like, oh no. So I'm yeah, and I was glad that I had something to refer to because it was a kind of a tense moment and I just gave him time to like do what he had to do to collect himself and then asked if he was okay and he said yeah, I want to go on. So otherwise I don't know if I would have known how to handle that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In
But
this
yeah,
topic in particular, trauma informed is really needed because there's going to be a really intense, heavy emotions coming up, and it's unavoidable, really. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So about synthesizing all the insights, yeah, that wasn't easy, but kind of like what I did is I went back through all of my interviews and I listened to them again. And I every time I heard something that I wanted to highlight, like I knew oh, that's gonna be important. Then I would put it on a sticky note in my Fig Jam. And then the next like important topic or important like something that they said, I would highlight that as well, put that on a Fig Jam. And I kind of like I segmented everything into like, okay, this was trauma around money. This was like their beliefs around, negative beliefs maybe,
Mm.
and practices they had around their addiction. There was a lot of like really, people really mishandled money in their addiction and even after. So I had to like highlight and like really listen to what they were saying. I read between the lines sometimes, but some of them were really, they pinpointed like exactly what they had done, like how much money they owed and who they owed it to.
Yeah, yeah,
I just like, kept notes of everything.
yeah,
And I had all these like little pockets of sticky notes. So they were organized, in like buckets. And then from there, I kind of chose the two or three that really stood out to me that had the most impact.
yeah, yeah. And how did you start to, based on those problems chosen, start to ideate on different solutions and then slowly scope your solution to one MVP and also one business model? Because it's not, unfortunately, in the world we live in a capitalist society. So part of it is the users and the user experience, but the other part is creating something sustainable, whether that's a nonprofit or whether that's a business. So how did you navigate those two considerations when scoping your solution?
Well, I have to consider my audience and their recovery background. And I know that people in recovery are used to, having like when they go to meetings, it's usually free, right? There's no requirements. And you can donate if you want to. So I needed to have some kind of bare bones like platform for anybody who like no barriers to get in. Because
Yeah.
some people really couldn't afford,
Yeah.
they won't be able to afford any kind of like subscription or any kind of platform that would be more than, like a monthly subscription. So I needed something where people could just come in and come as they are. So I knew that was part of it, but also, realizing that some people are not as down and out as others were, and they might be further along in their recovery, and they do have some finances that they can contribute. So there was going to be some paid options as well, and that might be in the form of like there might be special sessions, or if they want to have premium like services, they can pay for that.
Mhm.
But I really didn't want anybody to feel like that they, if they couldn't afford it, that they were out,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they all need help. And part of being in recovery is that nobody's denied access.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that. And I think with most apps today on the market, there's a freemium model of part of the app needs to be free to build trust with users and to really make sure that there's alignment if you're going to make a purchase or going to make a payment. And then only if you're a power user or you really need additional self support or help in some way, would you then purchase a subscription or additional service. So I think that's the common model of today. Um, I guess I'm curious if you could pitch this app in, let's say you were pitching to an investor, how would you, what is the solution and how would you talk about the solution in an elevator pitch?
Oh, well, I haven't thought about my elevator pitch yet, to be honest, but it's definitely a nonprofit because I don't see it any other way. It's going to be, like it might even be a nonprofit that's run by people in recovery,
Yeah,
because then they're invested in their own community.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I I mean, and especially like I have a background in nonprofits, so I really think that for me, it it kind of like brought everything full circle of
Yeah.
like, design, recovery, and nonprofit. As far as pitching it to people, I think I would just pick. I mean, I had an MVP that had really three features, like the mentor mentee matching. That was super important to get the mentees matched with somebody that could really help them effectively and understand their financial issues.
Yeah.
And then we have the financial dashboard that is so important to keeping track of your financial progress and making sure that you stay on track to meet your goals. And then the last one was the rewards, because part of recovery too is getting positive reinforcement for your actions, and also giving back, and that's part of step 12, giving back to people who are not as fortunate as you. So I wanted to get that aspect in there as well. And that was where the points come into play. Like every action that you take, when you make progress, you get points towards your goal, and those points can be redeemed for monetary funds, and the funds can either be used for yourself or given back to a newcomer.
Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot. And I know we were talking about potential partnerships with banks where some of those rewards could be a discount on a loan or a better rate on a loan or, um, you know, needing, a lower credit score, for example, in a certain situation. So, there's a potential to partner with banks and other financial institutions to get folks what they need, whether that's for a mortgage, an auto loan, things like that. I'm also curious, would you build this nonprofit? So, given your close ties to the community, and we also learned about entrepreneurship and business models, um, and you see how kind of the nuts and bolts of how UX Woman works as a small business, and we use the same practices that we preach. So, would you build this for your community, maybe starting in your area and scaling to other cities?
I would, honestly, I would love it. I mean, I think there's a real need for this. I really do. I just don't have the confidence at the moment.
Yeah,
Like I think I would need to learn a little bit more about business strategy and
yeah.
resources, but
Mm.
I definitely know there's a huge market for this.
But I don't think there's anyone else more suited to starting this organization and running it, right? Because you have those unique talents of design and graphic design. And I think we are all going to be lifelong learners in terms of learning about AI and business and marketing and positioning. I'm still learning because I haven't grown and scaled to, as much as I would like to. Um, but I think starting somewhere and starting small is totally fine. And I think you already have the prototype to launch and maybe vibe coding it with AI and getting it in front of your community might be the first step to see if it's even viable as a beta. And then it could go from there to anywhere. It could scale, it could keep growing, and it could grow at the pace that you need it to grow. So I think that's something I would push for in the future. But I think shifting gears, what are you doing now in terms of the job search, or how are you targeting and navigating the job search now that you've developed more of the UX skill set?
Well, at the moment, I'm currently rewriting my resume and putting my UX experience on there and trying to reframe my design experience in UX terms, which I think I'm pretty much I've done that. The thing I'm really stuck with is the portfolio part of it because I'm having a in my head, I'm having this problem translating my design to like how am I gonna go from graphic design to UX? Because they're similar, but they don't really,
Yeah,
like how do I mix them? How do I show both?
yeah,
Because I really think that my design background is so valuable in UI design and UX design. And I'm not sure the way my portfolio is now, it's going to be like, a disjointed portfolio. Like, here's design, here's UX.
yeah.
Which one am I? It's like I have two personalities at the moment.
Yeah. And that's something we've been talking about with the resume is rewriting some of your graphic design work into transferable skill sets and terminology, and then updating your LinkedIn to match that as well. So now we're kind of getting into the portfolio side of things. I guess what would be the ultimate goal? So because you've done more of a financial app, is your goal to become a UX designer or product designer in the fintech space? And is that the ideal job you would see yourself working in as a designer at the moment?
I could definitely see myself in fintech, yeah, or healthcare.
Yeah.
I think and also like targeting nonprofits
Yeah.
because those three, those three would probably be my best option.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, given your work right now and this project in particular, I think the mental health and the nonprofit and the fintech space would be your ideal areas, especially with the financial dashboard that you designed and having that kind of expertise with data visualization. So that's exciting to kind of move into that area. I guess to wrap up this interview, since we're coming up on time, what would be some advice you would give folks who are thinking about UX, looking to pivot maybe, but who are still kind of debating or like figuring things out for themselves?
That's a good question. I would have to say that you really have to want this.
Yeah,
Like if you're not sure about UX, don't do it because it's a trend or you think like, well, I'm gonna make more money and get a job. This is not an easy industry. There's
yeah,
a lot, and even UI design, you need to know about the UX and the research aspect of it. There's so much that you need to know just beyond making something look good. Like design systems are a whole nother project that you can take on,
Yeah.
which I'm actually learning about right now. Uh, and I don't know, yeah, I would definitely say you need to really want it because you're gonna work really hard.
Yeah.
And if you're not that interested, you're just gonna like you're gonna fall off the wayside.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, it is a lot of commitment and it's a lot of work. It's like 5 to 10 hours of work. Would you say that's about right per week?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that's a good point. I really like that. I think it's about finding alignment and making sure you're ready to commit to really intensely learning and being creative. And to your point, not just chasing the high salary, which is a great perk of being in tech, but you really have to want it and work for it. And there's no shortcut to learning it, which, yeah, um, seeing the amount of research and design systems work we do. But that's a great way to end this call. So thank you so much, Pam. Um,
You're welcome.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I said you're welcome.
Oh, awesome. All right. I will stop recording.